The spending pledges have come thick and fast in this leadership, and today it was the turn of the NHS.
How many patients have you got on the ward?
The new Prime Minister chose the Pilgrim Hospital in Lincolnshire to make his grand announcement and let staff know in person what they could expect.
Okay, well, we're just here. We're announcing some money for the A&E, which is useful.
Should be.
But
21 million.
That's £21 million here, but £850 million across 20 hospitals or NHS trusts in England for new building and infrastructure projects. Boris Johnson also announced a further £1 billion across the whole of the NHS. And he seemed particularly keen to hammer home one specific point about the cash.
I want to stress, this is new money. This is new money. Don't forget that this is 1.8 billion of new money, delivering 1.8 billion of new money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I got the message across.
He may think he's got the message across, but it's a message that is disputed.
We don't think it's entirely new money. We do think it's new spending. So for £1 billion of the £1.8 billion, what we think is that the NHS trusts, hospitals and community services, mental health services, are now being allowed to spend cash that they've been building up by making savings over recent years. So that's cash that they've got already that they're now being allowed to spend.
Of course, today isn't the first time Boris Johnson has talked about NHS funding. Today's £1.8 billion is only about a tenth of what was written on the side of this bus, and healthcare experts believe it's less than a third of what's needed.
So he zaps an X-ray through somebody.
Whether today's money is new or old, it's the latest in a long line of spending pledges the new Prime Minister has made, including £1 billion for extra police officers and £5 billion for schools, the sort of spending that usually precedes an election.
You have a lot of patients presenting with...
And that's on top of £2.1 billion reserved for no-deal Brexit preparations. Something Mr Johnson says publicly is still a 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but EU diplomats said today was now his, quote, central scenario. This morning, at around 8 a.m. to be precise, that position appears to have hardened. According to reports, the Prime Minister's new top aide, Dominic Cummings, called in special advisers from across government for a meeting to ensure that all departments are doing everything they can to be ready to leave the EU on October 31st, deal or no deal. He's said to have criticised the former Chancellor Philip Hammond for frustrating no-deal preparations and left everyone in the room in no doubt that similar frustrations will not be tolerated. Visiting the damaged dam in Whaley Bridge, Jeremy Corbyn said no deal equals no confidence vote.
There'll be a no confidence motion put, at a point when we can win it and a point when we can make sure that this government is not allowed to take this country out of the EU with no deal because of all the dangers it will be to the people of this country.
Some voters aren't being won round by the giveaway. According to one new poll today, there is now a majority in favour of independence in Scotland. No deal might not just mean no confidence vote, but no more union.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Health Minister, Chris Skidmore, and I asked him about the claim by some in the health sector that today's spending announcement does not represent new money.
No, this is new money. It's £1.8 billion on top of the £3.9 billion that was announced for capital spending back in 2017.
But it's in fact money that was given to hospitals that they saved by making cuts, but weren't allowed to spend. So now they've been told they can spend it. So it's not new money, it's just that you've now told them they can spend the money that they had.
No, I mean, this is an announcement today with an extra £1 billion of capital spending on top of the £850 million extra.
But it's the money they already had, isn't it?
This is an announcement today where we have seen additional money going into the system, additional money on top of the £3.9 billion that's been announced. Is it the money
that hospitals saved that has now been told they can now spend on capital projects?
The money has been released.
Is it the money that came out of their original money? The money's been released.
No, because this is new money from the Treasury.
So it has nothing to do with the money that hospitals saved?
In terms of accounting and in terms of hospitals that were putting aside money, obviously when you look at examples of the 20 trusts today, obviously they were way for sustainability transformation partnership schemes that just missed out last time.
Please answer the question. And I'm trying to work out where this money has come from. What we know is that hospitals up and down the country have been saving money for years, but have not been allowed to spend it. And the understanding from experts like the Nuffield Trust is that this is an accounting exercise that now releases that money to be spent. So it's money that they saved by cutting on services that they're now able to spend on capital projects. Are you saying that is untrue?
No, what we're seeing today is...
Is that untrue?
No,
yes
it's not.
No?
No, it's not untrue.
So that's correct, what I've just said.
When it comes to capital, you can't just suddenly announce this on projects that suddenly appear. Projects are in the pipeline for a long period of time, and what we've been able to do today is release the money to make those projects finally happen.
How many hospitals are there in England and Wales?
Well, in terms of the hospitals, there's over 200. I mean, we've got 250 trusts, and we'll be looking at sort of, when it comes forward with our capital plan, a long-term infrastructure plan for both delivering new hospitals and refurbishing old hospitals.
I mean, do you know how many hospitals there are in England and Wales?
Well, in terms of hospitals in Wales, I haven't got the numbers to hand. No, I mean, I started as health minister about 5 days ago,
right.
So unfortunately, I haven't got that data to hand. Obviously, I know that when it comes to looking at our capital spend, we do need to invest for the future. We've announced the 20 trusts that will be receiving money. I've gone to one already, Croydon University's Hospital. I've seen the intensive care units that desperately do need to be refurbished.
Okay. The question is whether you're announcing this really because you're trying to distract us from the real story, which is no-deal planning. Now, when your boss, Matt Hancock, became Health Secretary, he said he couldn't guarantee that people wouldn't die as a result of the chaos ensuing from no deal. Can you now guarantee that?
It's my responsibility as the new health minister to deliver on no-deal Brexit planning. I'm attending these EXO meetings daily. Well, when it comes to a guarantee, I absolutely want to make sure that we have the medicine supplies, the medical devices supplies, everything in place, the dedicated health service channel with the aeroplanes ready to go.
So you do think there is a risk that the chaos of no deal could lead to the loss of life?
No, I don't.
From things like medicine's disruption and
I don't accept the premise of your question. There is not
well, it was
a
your
chaos
boss's
of,
premise.
There is not a chaos.
Premise.
There's not a chaos of no deal. We've now seen a new administration willing to put its hands into its pockets to pay additional money.
So you can guarantee there will be no disruption to the supply of medicines, can you, and medical supplies? Not just
I'm doing my best to make sure that
I know you're doing your best, but can you guarantee that there will be no disruption?
Well, when it comes to those guarantees, obviously some of those are outside of government's controls. We will be doing everything in our power, both financially or otherwise, to make sure that we can reassure people so that doom-mongers cannot turn around and say that somehow life is at risk from Brexit.
So will the NHS and pensioners living outside in the European Union be better off or worse off or the same under a no-deal Brexit?
So when it comes to looking at British pensioners abroad, we are working very hard on ensuring that there are sustainable reciprocal healthcare opportunities.
Have you done it yet?
Yes, we have been taking forward the work, and we've got additional.
Have you got
planning.
an agreement?
No, we haven't got an agreement
so you're
with
not
all
ready
countries.
on that.
We've got several bilateral agreements with a number of EU countries, and we want to make sure going forwards that we've got a complete agreement with the EU.
The biggest issue in the health service, as the NHS Confederation says, is the shortage of staff. There's 100,000 vacancies, and they desperately need people from the European Union to fill those vacancies. On November the 1st, how will people from Europe come into Britain to take those vacancies?
Well, obviously, we have a programme in place when it comes to looking at the settled status, EU settled status. Obviously, we've got a new immigration system that we're putting in place from the 1st of January 2021.
No, I'm talking about new migrants, people taking those jobs,
Well, we will be putting contingency measures in place. I think you'll see a number of announcements on immigration for the future.
So that's not sorted out either yet?
No, you're taking a day one scenario where you're thinking everything's not sorted out. Just because a lack of an announcement does not mean that there will be no announcement on these issues. As I said, we are ramping up our no-deal preparation to ensure that when it comes to 31st of October, all these contingency measures are in place, and we will definitely see measures so that we can continue to ensure the supply of labour for our NHS, which, as the Prime Minister has said, is his #1 priority.
Chris Skidmore, thank you very much.
Thank you.